much is a food license in Queensland? Well, you're in luck, because in today's video for Marketing Food Online, we're going to take an in-depth look at the cost and the processes associated with obtaining a food license in Queensland. Welcome back to Marketing Food Online. It's Damian Roberti, founder and CEO of Marketing Food Online. And we wanted to dive into, first and foremost, the understanding of why food businesses need a license in general. So the primary reason is to actually ensure that all food establishments adhere to the proper food safety standards and practices, safeguarding the public health. Now, specifically in Queensland, food businesses must comply with what's known as the Food Act of 2006, Food Safety Standards. This actually applies to Australia and New Zealand, and the Queensland Food Safety Regulation of 2021. All right, so the types of food business licenses that you might need. Now, there are different types of food licenses, and of course, the costs do vary depending on the category of the license. But specifically in Queensland, food licenses are usually classified into the following categories. You're going to have a fixed food business, you have a mobile food business, and then you have a temporary food stall business. Lastly, home-based food businesses as well. All right, so let's explore each of these categories and the respective licensing fees so you can understand what you might be paying for them. Number one is the fixed food business license. Now, a fixed food business is an establishment that actually operates from a permanent location. This would be something such as a restaurant, this might be cafes, bakeries, catering services, and such. So the cost of these fixed business licenses can range about $460 to about $1,700 a year, depending on the risk category and the size of the business itself. If you're finding this helpful and this is your brand new first video you've ever seen here on Marketing Food Online, remember to definitely hit the subscribe button. We have thousands of videos. We also have multiple food entrepreneur channels. Those other channels here on YouTube that you can find down in the description section, you want to click on that button, that little word that says more. You want to open up that list and you can check out all of our channels here specifically on YouTube. So let's get right back to starting your food business in Queensland. All right, so next up, you've actually got a mobile food business license. So this is much different than one that is a fixed. So as the name suggests, of course, mobile food businesses, they are going to include anything from like food trucks, ice cream vans, or even coffee carts. Now, these mobile ventures are required to have a valid license, which normally can cost between about $325 to a little bit over $1,000 again a year. But again, based on the risk factor and the size of the operation, that's going to dictate the amount that you're actually going to pay annually for those. Next up is a temporary food stall license. Now, for those looking to set up a temporary food stall, like local events, festivals, markets, or even fairs, a temporary food stall license would be actually required for that type of business. Now, these can vary between about $85 to about $300 a year. And again, it's the risk category specifically as to what you will be making. Next up, home-based food business license. Now, this is something that's really fantastic because most food businesses, believe it or not, actually start at home. Home-based food businesses, such as those selling jams or cakes, offering catering services even, also need to have a food license. Now, these fees for the home-based food business, they can range anywhere from about $150 to the high side of about $600, okay? Now, it's really crucial to understand that these costs are approximate and can vary depending on the local council. So to get an accurate information, you might want to consult with a specific council in your area where you actually plan to operate the food business from. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about license renewal. So food licenses in Queensland are valid for 1 year, pretty much like it is everywhere else. Consequently, you must renew your license annually, and the renewal fees are approximately the same as the initial fees every year. So you might want to keep that in mind because late fees may apply if you don't renew it specifically on time. A lot of them can be done online as well, so it makes it a little more convenient also. So next up, risk categories and compliance. So let's get a little bit more specifics about that because it's super important. In Queensland, food businesses are categorized into 4 risk levels: low, medium, high, and very high. Now, the risk category is determined by the type of food business, handles the type of food safety hazards associated with it. So the higher the risk businesses, like those handling raw meat, maybe even raw eggs or seafood, they're going to have a higher license fee due to the increased complexity of the food safety practices that would be required. So that's something you want to keep in mind as well. Now, next up, additionally, food businesses must ensure compliance with food safety regulations. Now, no different in Queensland, you might need to implement a food safety program and have a Food Safety Supervisor, an FSS as it's known, in place for your business, depending on your risk category. Now, these requirements actually contribute to the overall cost of operating the food business, specifically in Queensland. Now, here's some exemptions and rebates, believe it or not. So certain types of food businesses, such as those selling like pre-packaged food, non-perishable food, may be exempt. Now, this is really huge because this could save you a lot of money. So that's something you want to keep in mind as well. However, it's essential to check with your local council for specific exemptions, plus the criteria for those exemptions, just to be on the safe side. Now, in some cases, rebates may be available for eligible food businesses, such as like nonprofit organizations or businesses that actually demonstrate exceptional food safety performance. So to learn more about those specific rebates and eligibility criteria, you might want to contact your specific local or council and consult with the Queensland government's website, which has a lot of great information as well. Now, the application process, this is something that's really interesting about Queensland. Now that you've discussed the different costs associated with licenses in Queensland, let's take a little bit of a look at the process for the application to actually obtain the license itself. So identify the appropriate license category. So determine which license category best suits your food business, whether it's fixed, mobile, temporary, or of course home-based. You want to make sure that you know specifically which one you are operating. Contact your local council. So you want to reach out to your local council to obtain an application form and gather information on specific fees, regulations, even requirements for your area. Now, you're also going to need to prepare supporting documents. Now, this is really important as well. You may need to provide additional documentation such as food safety program, site plans, or food safety supervisor certificate, depending on the risk category again, and then the type of food business that you're going to open up. Now, you want to submit your application. So you want to fill out the application form and submit it to your local council, along with any required documents and applicable fees that you're going to have to pay annually every single year. Now you're going to get to undergo the inspection. So after submitting your application, your food business premises will be inspected by the local council officer to ensure compliance with food safety regulations. Review your food license. So if your application is successful and your premises meet their standard requirements, you will be issued a food license. But you want to remember one thing. You must display your license prominently in the food business so people can see it. Your customers coming in and out, that is something that is a rule. So you want to renew your license. Now don't forget to renew your food license annually and maintain compliance with food safety regulations. Okay, so with all that being said, in conclusion, so the cost of the food license itself in Queensland varies depending on the type of food business, the risk category, keep that in mind, and the specific council where you are. So it's crucial to research the requirements, your fees and application process for your local council. But all in all, this is a good outline to understand how it actually gets started. So by understanding how much is a food license in Queensland, what is associated with the process, and you're one step closer to making your food business dreams come true. Now, keep in mind too that we have a ton of great videos here to help you understand food businesses and processes. Definitely hit the subscribe button. If you've got any questions about starting a business in Queensland, or if you have started a business and you've got some questions, let us know in the comments section. We'd love to fill up our channel with a lot of great content based upon your recommendations and questions. We'll see you guys in our next video.